All right, Raider Nation, things are heating up in Vegas. And no, I'm not just talking about the desert sun or someone's wedding bells ringing. With the mandatory minicamp for the silver and black just around the corner, kicking off no dia des de Juno, it's time to start paying attention to the roster decisions that could shake things up. Right now, the Raiders are carrying no Venta Jogadores. That's right, one spot over the official limit, which means if they want to bring in anyone new, someone's got to go. And while most cuts are expected or at least somewhat predictable, today we're diving into the surprise category. I'm talking about players who, if the team announced their release this week, you'd stop in your tracks and say, wait, what? And yeah, before we dive into that list of names, just a quick reminder, it's a big week for me personally. I'm getting married this Friday, dia 6 de Juno. So if you didn't give me a gift, it's all good. Just smash that subscribe button and we're even. That's the best wedding gift you could give me right now. But back to the silver and black, because that's what we're all here for. These surprise cut candidates aren't about the 50 Trace Man roster just yet. We'll get to that in August when things get really serious. No, what I'm talking about is this current window, the time between OTAs and the start of mandatory minicamp. If any of these guys were let go this week, it would genuinely catch people off guard. But hey, football is a business, and sometimes the most unexpected decisions end up being the right ones for the future of the team. Let's kick things off with a name that might raise a few eyebrows, Darnay Holmes. Now, if Holmes were cut after the 1st of June, the Raiders would save just over $1 million in cap space. That's not chump change when you're trying to build a deep, competitive roster. Holmes came in with some decent expectations, especially for a team that has been experimenting heavily with nickel packages this offseason. But here's the kicker. When the Raiders are lining up with two safeties, we're seeing names like Eric Stokes and Darian Porter. Darnay hasn't been getting those starting reps. In fact, players like Lonnie Johnson and even Thomas Harper have been showing out more in those spots. It's wild to think about, because if you rewind to the start of the offseason, a lot of us had Darnay Holmes penciled in as a potential starter. But now, he might not even make the roster. He's decent depth, sure, but if the coaching staff is serious about sticking with long, athletic cornerbacks in that Pete Carroll mold, Holmes just doesn't fit the profile. He's not that guy. So while it'd be surprising, I wouldn't fall out of my chair if his name hit the waiver wire. Another player who could be in danger? Trey Taylor, the safety out of Utah State who won the Jim Thorpe Award last year, an honor given to the best defensive back in all of college football. That's no small feat, and he was picked in the 7th round by the previous regime, which already puts him on shaky ground. Right now, Taylor is clearly behind both Lonnie Johnson and Thomas Harper on the depth chart, especially in those sub-package coverages. Look, I love Taylor's story. The guy's got heart. He's an excellent human being, a locker room asset, and has potential value on special teams. But when you stack him up against what the Raiders already have, you start wondering, where does he actually fit? They brought in Jeremy Chin. They re-signed Isaiah Polamau. They added Lonnie Johnson Jr. The safety room is crowded and uncertain, and Taylor hasn't exactly seized a role. If he's not going to contribute on defense, and his special teams value isn't enough to justify a spot, then this is a situation where the team might just cut ties early and give him a shot to catch on somewhere else, as a sign of respect. Because again, Taylor's a top-tier human being, and teams sometimes do right by guys like that. Now, let's move up to the wide receiver position and talk about a guy you've probably heard some buzz about earlier in the offseason, Colin Johnson. When the Raiders signed him, a lot of the headlines read tallest receiver in the NFL, standing 6 pays ECs. Turns out he's not quite the tallest, but still top 5, and that kind of size is always intriguing, especially in red zone packages. There were also some whispers about Pete Carroll and Steve Sarkisian connections, given the Texas overlap. Just for the record, Johnson never actually played college ball with Sark, so we can toss that theory aside. But here's the real issue. We just haven't heard much of anything about Colin Johnson during OTAs. Like, at all. In a world where young guys are getting buzzed left and right, Trey Tucker, the rookies, you'd expect to at least hear something about Johnson. But it's been radio silence. That's usually a red flag. Whether it's the coaches not being impressed or simply being focused elsewhere, the lack of attention is never a good thing in a crowded room. Depth charts around the league tend to overhype guys like Colin Johnson because of their size or pedigree, but what matters is what the coaching staff sees in practice. And right now, it looks like Johnson might be the odd man out. Again, we're not talking about a major headline move here, but if it happens, you'd still go, oh, wow, didn't see that one coming. Let's keep it rolling with another receiver, Kyle Phillips. The former Chip Kelly recruit has been floating around Raider circles ever since Kelly joined the staff. I mean, literally the first thing the team did after bringing Chip on board was sign Phillips. That's no coincidence. Relationships matter in this league, and that kind of connection probably bought Phillips a little bit of runway. But let's be real, Tommy Mellott has been flashing in practices. Dante Thornton Jr. is turning heads. Even Jack Beck has been getting praise. When you look at that group, it's hard to find a spot where Phillips fits. He's a decent route runner, but didn't play last year and doesn't bring that explosive upside you want from your depth pieces. In a league driven by potential and explosiveness, he might just be another name that gets left behind. The Raiders would save over $1 million if they moved on from Phillips after June 1st. So from a financial perspective, it makes sense. And honestly, that Chip Kelly connection might not be enough to save him if the young guys keep pushing the way they have been. Moving over to the backfield, let's talk about Dylan Lobby, not Zamir White, although we'll get to him in a second. Lobby was a guy some thought might sneak into a rotation spot, especially on special teams. But here's the thing, Tommy Mellott can give you special teams value. Trey Tucker, too. And you know what those guys do better than Lobby? They protect the football. Ball security has been emphasized again and again by this coaching staff. Spitek has made it crystal clear. Turn the ball over and you're done. Unfortunately for Lobby, he's had some fumble issues. And that's just not going to fly in this system. The Raiders already drafted Ashton Janney, and they brought in Raheem Mostert. Both of those guys are going to get work. So when you do the math, where does Lobby fit in? If the answer is maybe special teams, that's just not enough to justify a spot. Cutting him would save almost $1 million, and sometimes it's that simple. Now, let's get to Zamir White, aka Zeus. This one's a bit trickier, because technically, he's not someone I'm predicting will be cut. But there's a chance he could ask to be released. Think about it. He's in the final year of his rookie deal, drafted by the old regime, and he's staring at a backfield stacked with Ashton Janney, Raheem Mostert, and possibly even Sincere McCormick. If they're all healthy, how many snaps is Zeus really going to get? Let's be honest, the answer might be 0. And if you're Zamir White, you've got to be thinking long-term. If this is your contract year and you're about to hit free agency, you need tape. You need to show future teams that you can still contribute. Sitting on the bench behind a rookie and a veteran doesn't help your case. So yeah, it might surprise people if the Raiders let him go, but if it's something he asks for, it could be a mutual decision that benefits both sides. Because remember, the last thing you want as a player in the NFL is for the only tape available on you to be outdated and underwhelming. Zeus needs a fresh start, and depending on how this running back room shakes out, he might get one sooner rather than later. And while those names already spark enough conversation to fill up a whole Raiders bar in downtown Vegas, we're not done yet. Because the closer we get to that mandatory minicamp, the more pressure starts building, not just on the coaches to make the right calls, but on these bubble players to show that they deserve a spot. The NFL moves fast. 1 minute, you're part of the plan. The next, you're the odd man out. And these surprise cut candidates are right at the heart of that tension. Take the situation with Zamir White again. It's layered. He's not a bad player. He's a strong, physical runner who has shown flashes in the past. But when the roster makeup changes and a younger, more dynamic back like Ashton Janney comes in and immediately draws attention, the writing can be on the wall. Janney is explosive, versatile, and comes from a system that prepared him to contribute right away. Mostert, though not in his prime, still offers home run speed and veteran experience. Put those two ahead of you, and it's hard to find touches. Now factor in guys like Sincere McCormick and possibly even Dylan Lobby, who, despite the ball security issues, could contribute on special teams if he cleans that up. It's a crowded room, and someone is getting squeezed out. The Raiders' coaching staff this offseason has made it very clear. Ball control is non-negotiable. That directive filters down through every position, especially the ones with high turnover rates like running back. If you're a fumbler, you're a liability. And that could be the final nail in the coffin for guys on the fringe. Coaches will always lean toward players who can protect possessions, and with so many options at running back, there's just not going to be much room for error or nostalgia. Zooming out, what's fascinating is how the narrative has shifted for certain players in just a matter of months. When OTA started, there were names you penciled in as near locks to at least make it a training camp. Now, after a few practices and some roster moves, they're dangling by a thread. That's the volatility of the NFL. Potential doesn't always translate, and reputation alone doesn't carry you. You've got to show up every day and prove you belong. For the wide receivers like Kyle Phillips and Colin Johnson, the biggest challenge isn't necessarily their own performance. It's the emergence of rookies and unheralded guys who are flat-out balling. Tommy Mellott has been one of the biggest surprises in camp, making plays, contributing on special teams, and proving he belongs. Dante Thornton Jr. is showing that his speed and frame can be weaponized in real ways. Jack Beck continues to impress. So when you stack all that against Phillips, who didn't play last season and is mostly relying on a Chip Kelly connection, it becomes clear how difficult his path really is. And with Colin Johnson, it's not just about height. Size helps, sure, but it doesn't matter if you're not making plays. Being 6'6" doesn't mean much if you're not commanding targets or creating separation. That's what makes these decisions so tricky. The fans see names and measurements. The coaching staff sees reps and consistency. They watch who wins one-on-ones. They see who's staying locked in during special teams drills. They're looking at more than just highlight tapes or old college accolades. And while the average fan might say, "Wait, we cut the tallest guy," the staff might respond with, "Yeah, because he didn't do anything." It's a harsh reality, but this is the business of football. The emotional side always takes a hit during this time of year. Guys you've rooted for, jerseys you've bought, names you've heard hyped up during the offseason. They might all be gone before training camp even begins. And that's why these surprise cuts matter. They're not just about salary cap math or numbers on a depth chart. They're about momentum, identity, and how a coaching staff wants to build a team that can actually win games. And again, this isn't even the final roster we're talking about. That 53-man cut down in August is going to be a whole different beast. This is just the first ripple. But that ripple can become a wave, and sometimes that wave takes some familiar faces with it. So whether it's Darnay Holmes not fitting the scheme, Trey Taylor caught in a numbers game, Colin Johnson disappearing from the radar, Kyle Phillips being overtaken by rookies, Dylan Lobby losing the ball one too many times, or Zamir White facing an uncomfortable truth about his future. These are the names to watch as we head into June 10th. And no matter how long you've been following this team, there's always going to be that one move that makes you go, "Damn, I didn't see that coming." Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a surprising twist that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, rumors are swirling around the potential signing of Shedeur Sanders, the rising star quarterback from the Cleveland Browns, by the Las Vegas Raiders. The news, still unconfirmed but gaining traction among insiders, has sparked a wave of speculation and excitement across the league, leaving fans and analysts buzzing about the implications of such a move. Shedeur Sanders, known for his impressive arm talent and sharp decision-making on the field, has quickly become one of the most talked-about young quarterbacks in the NFL. Drafted by the Browns, he showed flashes of brilliance that suggested a promising future as a franchise leader. However, whispers of contract disagreements and the Browns' possible interest in restructuring their roster have ignited rumors that Sanders could be on the move sooner than expected. The Raiders, historically known for their bold and often unpredictable moves, seem poised to shake things up once again. With a team eager to reclaim its former glory, bringing in a quarterback of Sanders' caliber could be the missing piece in their offensive puzzle. Sources close to the organization hint that negotiations might already be underway, although official confirmation from either team remains elusive. If the deal materializes, it would mark one of the most significant quarterback shifts of the season, potentially altering the balance of power in the AFC. The Raiders have struggled in recent years to find stability at the quarterback position, and Sanders' arrival could inject much-needed energy and skill into their offense. Meanwhile, the Browns would face the challenge of replacing a player many believed would be central to their future plans. Fans and analysts alike are watching closely, eager to see how this potential blockbuster move will unfold. The NFL landscape is known for its unpredictability, but few expected the Raiders to pursue a talent as promising as Shedeur Sanders. Whether this rumor will become reality or just another fleeting headline remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. The NFL offseason is heating up, and the Raiders' ambitions might be signaling a new era for the franchise. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.